I have a funny little demo for you today that shows how to use a cross-platform cache, Ephemeral Exchange, to orchestrate various microservices running on different platforms. And when we put them all together, we'll have a series of pub crawls, that's to say a bunch of bars chosen at random in a particular area with the best route plotted between each one of them. So the objective here is not so much to end up with a complete application, although we will have that, but rather to show the push notification capability of Ephemeral Exchange. So let's start at the end. This is a web app that uses the Google Maps API, and it's plotting a route between multiple bars that's been chosen at random by a different service in this collection of platforms. And it's been notified by push notification that there's something for it to do, and it's plotted them on the map. So here we have the City of London marked out. The pubs have been chosen at random. A route's been plotted, and we've got a couple of different pub crawls set up here. Here's another one. So we'll take a look at how that was done. Won't get too much into code again, because this is really just to show the capabilities, but we'll cover some of the coding in a later video. So we're starting in Google Sheets. We have a control sheet here with some parameters in it. We've got two areas set up. One is London City, another one is Greenwich Village in New York. And we've got various parameters here that we'll cover in due course. And we have an add-on here that we're going to use to control the whole process. So we're starting off by working on what we're calling City Crawl, which is the London City one. So first of all, how is that defined? How is London City defined? Well, it's defined by a series of longitude and latitudes that simply look like this, and together they form polygon. It looks like the orange colored piece of this map. When we start this off, a request will be made to a Google Cloud function at various random intervals based on the suggestion time here for suggestions for pubs. So all that does is, given an area, it finds random pubs in that area and tells us about them. And they appear in another sheet, which we're looking at now. But how they get here is the subject of this video. So you'll notice that over here there's some statistics as well as some data that we're looking at here. And the reason that it's there is because this is listening to updates to cache, and as a result it's updating these numbers. Another process is also listening to cache. In fact, it's a AppScript web app, and it notices when a new line has been added. Let's just start it going. We'll do this. So what's happening now is that we've asked the pub suggester to go off and find some pubs in the area. It's not doing it sequentially, it's doing it at random intervals, which is why there's a delay like that. We're trying to simulate here a system that people might be suggesting pubs that they might want to go to. So you can see that we've had 3 or 4 new ones added in the time that I've been looking at that. And what happens is that eventually it decides that it's got enough pubs to make a pub crawl out of, and see it just did it there. So now we've got 3 pub crawls. So now if we head over to the mapper, then you can see it now knows about 3 pub crawls. Let's have a look at the latest one to arrive. So that's the list, and there are the places that we'll be visiting. So how did it know that that one had arrived without me actually doing anything? Well, just like the control app that we looked at earlier, it's also listening to changes in cache. So the Google Cloud function suggested some pubs. The AppScript web app noticed that there were enough pubs to create a pub crawl out of, and the mapper that we're looking at noticed that there was a new pub crawl that it wanted to show. And it did all of that without any of these apps talking to each other directly. So let's take a quick look at what's actually in cache. So I've gone to the Ephemeral Exchange console here, and I'm going to use the JSON editor to read this item that's been maintained by these services that we looked at. So you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So it's probably easier to look at it in a kind of a structured way. So here we have some data here. So I'll just close that up a little bit. See the type of thing that's being stored in there. We've got points that haven't yet been assigned. You've got the crawls that are available and the colors to use to plot them and the names to give them. And you've got the items that have been assigned to a pub crawl already. So now going to the mapper will show us the pub crawls that have been created in New York in exactly the same sort of way. There's quite a number of completed ones that are ready for us to look at here. And I've just told it to catch up a little bit over on this side because they've been being created whilst we've been looking at the one in London City. So now we should have loads. Let's check that out. There we got hundreds of them. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That was a quick schematic of what we just looked at. In fact, there were 5 different services running on different platforms, and they were all being informed about changes that each other had made by the Ephemeral Exchange cache. So if you want to see more stuff like this, then subscribe to my YouTube channel, and of course I have a few books and videos and stuff out that might help if you're interested in learning AppScript, JavaScript, or whatever.